Hello there guys, Darryl Griffiths here with another video review for you all. I hope you've all been very well as we build into the home stretch now, Christmas looming large. I hope it's not proving stressful for you guys. Today I'll be tackling another award season darling and another Screen Unseen screening from Odeon. Thank you very much for that. It was this past Monday and it was Manchester by the Sea, and it stars Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, Chandler and Lucas Hedges, and it is the third film directed by Kenneth Lonergan, who admittedly I haven't seen his two previous films, which were You Can Count on Me and Margaret, but I've heard stellar things about them, so high expectations considering the awards buzz. 5 Golden Globe nominations earlier this week. So, the narrative of Manchester by the Sea. Casey Affleck plays Lee Chandler. He's a Boston handyman who is very insecure, and he causes ructions on a day-to-day basis with the people that he deals with and the homes he gets invited into to deal with whatever situations they're being faced with, and it causes ructions with his superiors as well, and family members feel like he's a very distant figure. Unfortunately for Lee, that can't last any longer. He's plunged into a sense of responsibility when his older brother, played by Chandler, passes away, and he's left to look after his son Patrick, played by Lucas Hedges, and he's a very inquisitive young man, and for all his grief, he's sort of trying to come to terms with who's going to look after him. And it's sort of implied that Lee is the man. He's been chosen by his older brother to look after Patrick. And it causes a very fractured, fragile dynamic between the two, as Lee may have to face the idea of moving to look after Patrick, or vice versa. And it causes him to face a very tortured past, particularly with his wife Randy, played by Michelle Williams. And there is some devastating details of their relationship that unravels within the film, and you can sort of slowly get a sense of why Lee is so reluctant to face this level of responsibility. The film itself, Manchester by the Sea, its slow-burning, sobering pace will not be for everybody, but it really digs deep into these fully fledged and fleshed characters. Lonergan really takes his time. The most impressive thing for me from Lonergan here is the direction. It is so withdrawn and distant, which may leave some audience members feeling very cold, but I think it's so impactful, and it doesn't feel intrusive into the familial tragedies that these characters are facing. There is some really stunningly subtle sequences. There's one in a hockey rink where Patrick is coming to terms with the death of his father, and it's looked at so far away from the point of view of his teammates and his boss, and it's so still, it's muted, but it's so impactful. You get a real sense through its figure movements of what he's coming to terms with, and it's so impressive. And I think that withdrawn, distant stylistic that Lonergan adopts is very much feeds into the characters themselves, particularly Casey Affleck as Lee Chandler, who is so impressive here. There is one sequence with him, there's a mid-shot as he pours his heart out. Again, I won't spoil the details of what comes out in that sequence, but it's a mid-shot, it's so still, and there's nothing exaggerated about his performance. He's just this nervous ball of energy, and you really grow to have a sense of empathy for the character, when in the initial stages you don't quite get what his deal is. And I think that's testament to just how fantastic Casey Affleck is here. Michelle Williams, there is one sequence with her that has been teased in the trailer, if you haven't seen it, that she shares with Affleck, and it is devastating. I was knocked for 6 with the details of it, as they just it overwhelms you with its raw, resonant emotion. Once again, I feel she's so underrated, Michelle Williams, and her performance as Randy here really complements Casey Affleck. Chandler, his tough-talking persona and charismatics are very effective as it peppers the film in flashbacks and its tightly constructed narrative. But the real star for me here was Lucas Hedges' Patrick. He's just brilliant. He's charismatic, he's inquisitive. The banter that he has with Lee Chandler, Affleck's protagonist, is just, it's very unlikely in its humorous nature, and it's just he brings such a warmth to the character when the film desperately needs it at times, because it can get quite intense and immersive in how fragile these characters are in their emotions and what they're coming to terms with. But the only real niggles that I had with Manchester by the Sea, I think the second act is quite overlong as it tries to reach its resolution. And I think the score, while its ethereal qualities are very much complemented by the staunch Christian nature of this family, I feel like it got overwrought and it sort of overpowers certain sequences when it doesn't necessarily need it, or if it's trying to achieve that emotional crescendo or peak, if you like, from Lonergan, it could be a little bit more contained instead of lingering on, and it just feels very intrusive where it sort of goes against much of the film for its running time. But as a whole, Manchester by the Sea, I think the key thing that you get from the film is, through such tragedy, you sort of feel like you're floating around sometimes, and you're never going to quite get over it, and you're very much lost at sea at times, but you feel like you have to keep dipping your toes in one step at a time, or one toe at a time, in trying to, you know, embrace life again after such difficulty. And I think that's the moral of the film, that is very much encapsulated within its devastating emotion, the gorgeous scenery and very withdrawn direction, which doesn't feel intrusive or melodramatic. I just think it is a superbly subtle, slow-burning ensemble piece that deals with its subject matter so beautifully and understated. It may not have an overpowering aesthetic or visual flourishes that maybe its award season counterparts will more than likely have, but for all its muted and slow-burning approach, Manchester by the Sea is a superb watch, and I highly recommend it. And it is a great introduction for me to Kenneth Lonergan. I'll certainly be revisiting Margaret, and You Can Count on Me in the coming weeks. So that is my review of Manchester by the Sea. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed it. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel below, which would be very much appreciated. Of course, coming up, as I've aforementioned in previous videos, is of course Rogue One, a Star Wars story. That'll be this weekend, hopefully, that I'll put this out for you guys. Leave it a couple of days so I don't spoil anything for everybody. Give it a bit more time for people to actually see it and discuss the film in a more effective way. And next week, of course, there is Passengers with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, which I sincerely hope is good as well. I just feel like the marketing has just been thrown in your face constantly, so I hope it lives up to the hype. But that is my review done. I've been Darryl Griffiths, and take care, guys, and I will speak to you soon. Thank you very much for watching my review of Manchester by the Sea. See you later. Thank you very much.